And in holistic psychology, we call something generational trauma. Some may say generational curses. It's the same thing.
Generational trauma.
Yeah, it's passed on. Obeka se mebusu mu de aware ani ha. Obi aba no be ware na okọ. But really, it's not. It may not even be the work of somebody, but it may be a pattern.
So, for instance, in a family where people always struggle to marry, so is it that like that's where the generational trauma starts from? So, when you are born into the family, you sort of just have a feeling, you just believe that it will never happen to me, I'll never get married.
Probably. So let's say, for instance, this is just an example. I'm not saying it for a fact, but it's an example that maybe in this house, let's use marriage again. In this house, the ladies, they don't get married, or when they get to maybe 40 years, they get divorced. And it's then now when you're getting to 40, you start feeling agitated. Yeah, fear. Or because they don't, where you grew up, no, you probably never grew up in a full family with a mother and a father or parents. You have not seen anybody get married. You didn't see anybody attain higher education. So what is really there to look forward to? Whilst you are growing up in life or you are navigating life, marriage or higher education is not your priority because you didn't grow seeing it. It didn't form your mindset. It didn't form your thought patterns. So what do you care? And then you end up now you end up at a place where maybe someone will be like, I don't worry. And then you be like, but maybe you haven't really paid attention or taken upon yourself that I'm going to pursue marriage or I'm going to pursue someone. You just came to meet a norm and you adjusted and you think, oh, it is. And so sometimes there are other things that when you enter a family and you see that there's a pattern in this family, it may be a trauma that has been passed on. And when you have to be the trauma breaker or the generational curse breaker, you have to respond differently. One way to change a pattern is to switch or is to respond differently. That means you need to change your mindset. That mindset that you came to grow up in, you have to change it.
So what are some of the ways you can change this mindset?
It takes a lot of work. It always starts from self-awareness. Self-awareness.
So self-awareness.
Self-awareness is number one because I said earlier, when you are traumatized, you are altered. You lose yourself. You are in trouble. It's like you become off. You lose identity. You don't really know who am I. You can't say know yourself. I know you don't know. You don't really know who you are. You don't really know the things that you love because the things that you love are all other people's expectations of you.
Okay.
So it has to start from self-awareness. Who are you? What are the experiences that have shaped my mindset? Why do I behave the way I behave? It all starts from the basics. Start from your behavior.
Okay, so you become self-aware. Then the second one is to do what?
Pay attention to your behavior, your behavioral patterns. The things that you know that comes to you by default. The things that will make you say, me, that's how I am. Anytime you find yourself saying, that's how I am. Okay, what is it that I did that made me say that's how I am? And I often do that. But why? Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you are the way you are. I mean, unless it's positive. If it's positive, great. I mean, you can still ask yourself. But if it's something that is always sabotaging you, is always ruining you, you need to sit up and ask why. Why is this happening?
For someone who... The person will tell me, I went to do this self-assessment. Me, I didn't see anything. I sat down. I studied myself. I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I think that's when you people, your job comes in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean,
going to see a cognitive behavioral...
A coach or a therapist, either way, yes.
They can help you
to align. So one of my main jobs is to help people see what they cannot see.
Exactly.
So for instance, maybe someone is struggling, they are stuck. Why do these things happen to me? Her thoughts are all over the place. Why am I always like this? Why am I always stuck? I don't know. Maybe the answer. People always cheating me. People always betraying me. You've lost your power. You've lost your identity. You don't really know who you are. And you don't know the role you play.
And sometimes the people's minds are so scattered that they would definitely need the help of experts like you.
So as a coach, I come in and I ask you certain questions, and you answering that question is going to help you put yourself in your own perspective. Like, oh, okay, so this is why this happened. To connect, I help you connect your own dots, because before you come to me, the dots are all over the place, and you don't know why this is happening. Why is this happening to me? I don't know.
So you will not tell the person, you will just help the person.
I'll guide
connect.
them. Yes, I'll
connect
guide
the
them.
dots.
I'll coach them. I'll help them.
At a fee.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
At a fee. So, but
Definitely.
it's affordable.
Oh, yes, it's affordable.
Yes.
But yeah, like you really need a help of a coach to help coach your thoughts, put them on paper, and start. I call it investigation of self. People don't do that. People think what you came to meet is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is not what it is. This is not who you are. This is who you've become. And if only you could go back to who you were before you became this, that is when you were little. And in holistic psychology, we have inner child healing. I don't know if you've seen any of my posts like about inner child healing. Healing your
child.
Yeah.
So everybody has an inner child.
Everybody. Before you became an adult, you were a child. That is the basic.
So.
And when you become traumatized, that inner child is distorted.
Okay.
Good. Now, coming back or healing from your trauma, you need to go back and confront that inner child.
Confront that inner child.
Good. And remember, I said something about the years between the years 1 to 7, a lot happens to you.
Formative development stages.
Yes. And at that time, you are not really conscious of your environment. You are carefree, you are childlike, you are silly, you are happy. Everything is okay. It's after when you start growing that now you like this. And you like this because of the environment you were in. Okay. Or you think this way because of and if the things that you went through are negative, you are going to be wounded. That childlike self is going to change. That inner child is going to change. And when we grow, the child doesn't go away. It's still there. Everybody has a child in them. Because that's your core. That's your beginning. That is where everything was innocent until the world happened or until life happened. And so when you ask the question, what happened? The full question is, what happened before you moved from your inner child? Or what happened before your innocence was taken away from you? And your innocent stages were when you were a kid. Sometimes between 1 to 10, or as long as you were a child and you had no control over certain things, that moment, your healing really depends on that moment. And there's a practice in inner child healing where it's like a meditation where you have to go back down memory lane.
Okay.
And go and think all the times when you were young and you needed maybe your parents' attention or someone molested you. Now that you're an adult, so you are playing a dual role. There's a small you in your mind, and then there's an adult you talking to the small you and giving them the comfort, telling them what, if they had heard at that time, wouldn't have traumatized them.
It's
an interesting exercise. Yeah. And it's very, very effective because sometimes when you grow into an adult, there's a saying that goes that we are not responsible for what we go through, but getting through it is our responsibility. So that's what the inner child work is about. When your parents or whoever handled you, abused you, or they couldn't be there for you, they were not able to be that healthy adult for you. Now you've become an adult. That person who hurt you cannot come and solve it and fix the damage they made. You have to make that you have to fix it. So now you have to come back and go back down memory lane, mention your name, imagine yourself as a child, and then apologize. Tell them you are sorry, tell them you didn't know, tell them you forgive them. You know, it's a dialogue. And it's very powerful.
It's like talking to yourself
and parenting yourself again. And you mentioned something about someone saying they do the introspection and they say, I'm not finding anything, I'm not seeing anything. Let me tell you, it's a lifelong
so you have to keep doing this
management.
Yeah.
You don't just get up and say, well, I want to be healed from trauma, then one touch. This type of healing is not miracle based. You can't have it as a miracle. It's constant work, inner work,
and
every day.
You have to be intentional about it.
Intentional.
Yeah.
So it's like living with a diagnosed condition. What will you do? You have to. It's there. The condition is there. So now you are now going to invest in how to manage it and cope with it.
But there's how do I say it? There's some relief It gets better.
Oh,
it gets better.
Oh, look at me. You have no idea. I've even shared with you half of what I've been through. It gets better. Like, it gets better. I know all of us, our brains are wired differently, but the brain, like you said, it's a muscle. The brain has personality on its own. Okay, and when you talk to yourself, positive self-talk is very important. Affirmations are very important. They may not seem like it works.
Intelligent, I am beautiful, I am smart. Sounds.
Let me tell you something. Do you know why we have affirmations and we are meant to repeat them? It's the same purpose it serves for how our mindsets were set up, by the repetition of things unconsciously. So even when you are saying you don't feel lovable and you keep telling I'm lovable, at that time it feels weird. Like you don't feel, you feel horrible. But you are saying I'm lovable and you may feel like a fraud, you may feel like this is fake. But trust me, the more you repeat it to your brain, eventually it's going to believe it. Because what made you believe that you were not lovable in the first place started somewhere. And it didn't start once, it didn't start twice. It was repetition. And even you telling yourself I'm not lovable, sometimes it's important to recognize that it's not even your voice. It's someone that was telling you that. Maybe a parent, a friend, they tease you, they bully you, they laugh at you, and then you adopt their voice. That's how we are. We are like, we are very porous.
Like magnets.
We are sponges, yes. So you take on, everything is projection. If you live here, I live a bit of me with you, you live a bit of me with me. That's how we are. We are all interconnected. We affect everybody. So sometimes you may end up having a thought in your head about yourself, and you realize that it's not even yours. It's not your own. Obinawaka. And then because they've said it enough times, it's registered. Now, to unregister that, you need to counter that with positive affirmations. Even if it doesn't feel right.
So these affirmations, you can go online and find them.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes on my page, my personal page, I put it there a lot. Like, I am beautiful. I am progressing. I am doing. I am.
I'll put your TikTok handle there.
Yeah. It's
so
helpful.
You have clients who you have seen.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
You've seen them thrive after all this childhood trauma.
So no, the thing is, I wouldn't say that. I like the word thrive. I prefer progress.
Surviving and thriving.
Yeah, I prefer progress, because I've spoken to a lot of people that they come back, even those I don't speak to, by going through my page. People randomly would text me, your page got me through this time, or this thing got me through this time. That is the work for me. That is when I know I'm answering to my calling. Okay. That I'm doing the job. So yes, there are people who come back with testimonials, and the progress also depends on you.
How fast you want it.
There was someone.
The pace.
There was someone who was recommended. I was recommended to someone, and she was supposed to book a session with me, and I heard her story. Like, the person who wanted her to see me told me that, she's going through this, she's going through that. And then when she suggested to talk to me, she was like, she got pissed that there's nothing wrong with me. Why would you want me to go and talk to someone? And her friend was worried. I'm like, no, don't. It's okay, because I can't help her if she doesn't see that she has the problem. So it's like that. There are cases where people don't even see the hope, and it's my job to help you do your work. It's not my job to help you see what you've been through. That's on you. You need to see it so that I get to come in and help you do the work.
So whenever you are ready. So that means that if someone doesn't take their childhood trauma seriously, there will be consequences.
Oh, definitely. So ignorance is no excuse. The fact that you don't know you went through this doesn't mean that everybody must take your BS. People, like I said again, people go, this is how I am. But maybe if you really confront why you became this way, you wouldn't
have to go through certain things.
You would have even been poised to work through it, so that you will have better relationships. But people don't want to put in the work, so they will dismiss it. This is how I am, so that they are not accountable or responsible, because accountability is painful. It's easier to blame. Some people tell you I had a rough childhood, but so what? If you had a rough childhood, doesn't mean you make other people's lives rough. Everybody has had it rough some way, somehow. But you need to be accountable and take responsibility of your work. Come out of it so that you can have, unless you don't want to have relationship with humans, but
if you don't have relationship with humans, who will you have relationship with?
You know, some people too go like, yeah, fuck relationship, I'm going to be by myself, I'm going to be single. Honey, no, you are stressing, you are lonely, you are going through a lot, and there are times where it's okay to isolate. I like isolating a lot. Sometimes just
isolate and come back.
Yeah. Isolate and come back. But you need humans. No, you can't. You need humans. People. You need love and to be loved.
That's true. That's true. So Roxanne, it was great talking to you. I have learned so much. As we were talking, I was thinking about my own childhood.
Tell me, share, please. Oh, because I shared a bit of mine. Well, what did you struggle with?
My childhood, I don't think my parents noticed that I was going through some stuff. Yeah. So for instance, when we were growing up, nobody ever told me I was ugly. But I just had this perception that I'm not beautiful. See my face, pimples. And even the pimples, later on, they went away. But I had self-esteem issues. And where did it come from? I think it just came from the fact that when we're children, sometimes I'll be in a group with people talking. And when I start talking, I feel like nobody is listening to me. So I used to think that, there's
something wrong with me.
There's something wrong with me. And you know, and sometimes what you are thinking isn't what it is.
Practice.
You know, and me, I always say it's this year that I've been saying it to a couple of people that bipolar disorder for me, I used to say it started with my broken heart. But there were so many stresses that came, and the trigger was just the broken heart. So where did the stresses come from? It just came from how I went through some stuff as a child. It's not like my parents were not good parents. They were good parents, but sometimes they got busy because of their nature of their work. So me too, I started feeling like my parents, nobody cares about me. So I always wanted to be in one relationship or another, because at least that's
your coping mechanism.
That's my coping mechanism. So it's also, like you said, all those things led me into dating wrong people.
One relationship after the other.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm also part of. I was also a wrong person for somebody, and all that. It was when
not perfect.
Yeah, it was when I started going to see my psychologists and psychiatrists that I started getting to the bottom of some of these things, and I realized that I was just traumatized as a child about some of the things, like I was saying. What traumatized me will not traumatize some people.
But
yeah, exactly. But I was also telling someone this year that we shouldn't be dismissing people's feelings. You know, even though feelings can be like the weather, they can change.
Definitely.
Sometimes feelings are very valid. So if somebody is saying, I feel threatened, I feel this, I feel that, then people will say, oh, this one, don't worry, it's okay, we've all gone through it. When you dismiss those feelings,
it worsens it for them.
Yeah, because they are the people who are experiencing what they are experiencing.
So let it be their experience.
You know, just let them offer your help and all that, but just allow them to how do I say, just don't make them
validate.
Feel like oh, it's not, it's
that's very painful. That's very painful.
It's very painful, and by the time I realize, they will never verbalize how they feel.
They will internalize it.
They'll
make it about themselves. There's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and that part is also very bad, because when they finish internalizing it, they don't speak up. You will never know what is running through the person's mind. So the person looks fine on the outside, like you see the person in church,
so much going on in there.
But what is going through their mind is very, very bad. So I'm glad we talked about trauma today.
Yeah.
And I know when people watch this, they will go and do some self-awareness, self-assessment,
introspection, honestly.
and speak to someone, because
Yeah.
you can't keep on giving excuses for why certain things don't happen in your life. And people think because it's a mental health channel, this one is for only people who have mental problems. I'm sure when people watch this video, they'll realize that I'm also part of this category.
When it comes to mental health, we all have mental health problems.
Yeah.
We may not have mental health conditions, right, or diagnosed conditions, but so far as you have a brain and a mind,
everyone
challenges are there. You are going to face challenges. Okay, so that's where we break the stigma. Everybody has their fair share of mental health. Break the stigma. We all have our share of mental health challenges. So don't say, oh, this one is for you. Hey, so far do you know the number of thoughts that are running through your brain every day? Do you know the pressure on your brain every day? Sorry, you have to eat, you have to do this, you have to work, you have to pay bills, you have to do this, and then you wake up in one piece every day. You think it's just what it is. Your brain and your body, your immune system have to put in a lot of work. So that's
if you feel that after watching this video you feel like you've been traumatized, well, I'm gonna put Roxanne's link down there. You can get in touch with her, and you could also, maybe you are not living in Accra here, you are in another region, country, you should definitely see a mental health professional.
Yes.
And don't feel like it's you, like it's just you, nobody understands you. There's help for what you are going through, and I can assure you that if you go, you take the help, you use it, people will not recognize you. They would even realize the change in you, and it will help keep you going. So we'll see you around another time. Bye.